Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Saturday, April the 8th. It's opening weekend at Keeneland. Spring is finally here, and the feature on a star-studded Saturday card is the Grade 2 Bluegrass Stakes. $1 million is the purse for 3-year-olds on their way to the Kentucky Derby. And let's take a look at this field. Not the biggest field in the world, but a ton of quality.
This might be the key prep, honestly. We take a look at it. We saw what happened in the Florida Derby last weekend. We've got a couple of other big preps on Saturday and obviously the Arkansas Derby next weekend. But to date, to me, this is the one that has the most meat. It's not a big field, but you get a lot of quality.
Friends, please head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com. Download those free Formulator past performances and handicap along with us as we take the bluegrass field in post position order. But before we do that, I want to throw up this special offer DRF.com has for Keeneland Saturday in the Bluegrass. You buy any Saturday DRF PP from any track, you get free bonus past performances for Keeneland's $300,000 guaranteed all stakes pick 5. It includes the Bluegrass.
So basically, let's say you want to play Aqueduct with the Wood Memorial,
yes,
or you want to play Santa Anita with the Santa Anita Derby. You get the Bluegrass
free,
and all the other graded stakes along with it.
Free. All stakes, $300,000 guaranteed pick 5. The headliner, of course, is the Bluegrass. Number 1 in the Bluegrass is It's Your Nickel for Kenny McPeak. And this horse, the son of first crop sire Dialed In, has really done nothing wrong from 3 starts around 2 turns. Beat a couple of next out winners on the Synth last time out in the Battaglia.
I like this horse a little bit. I think he's okay. The biggest problem is I think he's in very, very tough. I would have liked to have seen him last Saturday, maybe in Louisiana Derby, but I can understand why they want to take a shot here. I think he's a little overmatched, but I think he's a nice horse.
All eyes will be on the number 2, McCracken. A lot of folks believe that right now he is the favorite for the Kentucky Derby. No blemishes on this horse's record. 4 for 4 in his career. He won the Sam F. Davis last time out over Taproot, one of the major contenders in the Bluegrass. But what happened? He was supposed to run in the Tampa Bay Derby.
Had a little bit of a hiccup in a morning workout, came out of it with a little bit of filling. Ian Wilkes said, you know what, we're in the luxury sort of position where we don't have to rush and worry about getting points. We've got our points, let's take care of him. And the good thing is it happened as early as it did, where they had time. And Ian Wilkes even said they could have probably pushed on with it. It wasn't the end of the world, but they know what they've got here. He's a really nice horse, very, very talented. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. Does he stand out over this field on figs? No, frankly, he doesn't. There are other horses in here that are just as fast, if not faster, but he's just very professional, isn't he?
But I think we can agree that he's the horse to beat based on his overall body of work. Does the lack of pace, and we'll talk about the pace in a little bit, worry you a bit? We know that McCracken likes to be gathered up, find his stride, and come with one big late run. Not a lot of speed in this year's edition of the Bluegrass on paper.
I think it's going to ultimately be up to Brian Hernandez to find out where you get this horse positioned, because I don't think in a race that lacks a ton of pace, you want to be coming from 100 out of it. I also don't think you want to be giving sort of your main competitors a head start, whether it's J-Boy Zecco, whether it's Practical Joke, or any of the other boys in here. It's going to be very interesting to see. I think this race is going to be just as much a jockey's race as it is a horse's race.
J-Boy Zecco broke through in a major way in the Grade 3 Gotham last time out. The Keeneland graduate got a beautiful trip and setup that day. There was a fast and contested pace up front, and that crafty veteran Robbie Alvarado gathered J-Boy Zecco back. He sat in 4th all by his lonesome, and when the time was right, he pounced. Can he run that number, that race? If the circumstances are a little different, he has to overcome some adversity.
I don't know, but if he can, he is all of a sudden, he's already on the short list as far as contenders are concerned for the Derby, just simply because of that 102 Beyer speed figure. But I don't know. I have a question for you. I mean, what is that really what he is, or is he the horse that we had seen prior to that? Where, look, I liked him as a 2-year-old, but I never thought this is what he was. I didn't think he was going to jump up and be some superstar all of a sudden. If you believe the 102 in the Gotham, he's arguably the horse to beat. I'm
not sure he's as good as how he looked in the Gotham based on the setup, but I'm not sure he's an 84 Withers or a 70 Delta Jack, but I think you can make a case that he's getting good at the right time. Dale Romans does excellent work at Keeneland, obviously. You got to worry about J-Boy Zecco, because from a pedigree standpoint, maybe he's the best suited to this 9-furlong distance.
Certainly. I think distance is only going to be his friend, and you know, if you think, the other thing that's interesting about J-Boy Zecco, you go back to some of his earlier races, he's not that far off the pace, and in a race, if we don't think there's a ton of speed signed on, if he can be the one that sits that sort of catbird seat waiting for the other speeds to kind of come back to him, and he takes over. He could be tough.
Todd Pletcher has sort of dominated this 3-year-old season the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks or so. He's got horses everywhere, major contenders for the Kentucky Derby. Here's another, the number 4 Tapwrit, beaten by McCracken in the Grade 3 Sam F. Davis 2 starts back, but that was his first start of the year in a McCracken-less Tampa Bay Derby last time out. He pounded the field. He just takes a step forward on the Beyer scale with each and every start. Can you make the argument that of the big 3 or 4 in this race, he has the best tactical speed?
You could. To me, it's more a matter of, I look at sort of the big 4, because we have 4 big names in here, and I wonder if at this distance, and J. Boys Echo obviously has every right to appreciate the 1 1/8, but of the horses that are sort of trying to vie for favoritism or close to it, I think Tapwrit has everything going for him right now. J. Boys Echo still needs to prove a little bit of something. McCracken needs to prove that he is still what we saw prior to his little hiccup. Practical Joke needs to prove he can see out the distance. Tapwrit is in form. Distance is only going to be his friend, and he has the hottest trainer in the country. He has everything going for him.
Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for the Bluegrass, and as you see, our friends at Timeform US believe that this race will favor a horse on or near the early lead. The number 5 Wild Shot might make the front. Well, Rusty Arnold said to the Keeneland track publicity on Wednesday, he is making the front. Corey Lanerie is supposed to be on Ascend on Saturday.
Which to me is music to my ears, because you look at this race when it first came out and you said, wow, there is no pace whatsoever in here. Keep in mind, Wild Shot is a horse that as a 3-year-old, they have taken away his speed completely. They've kind of turned him into a run closer, and I think a lot of that has to do with the distance, where maybe they didn't know how far he wanted to go, try to save something and let him go. As a 2-year-old, he was on the lead in almost all of his races, and he really wasn't embarrassed in the Kentucky Jockey Club by McCracken, and he ran very, very well. Arguably, in my opinion, the best race in the Breeders' Futurity, because he was up on a hot pace and he stuck around. I want Corey Lanerie to get to the front, go on with it. Maybe the 1 1/8 is going to be his Waterloo and he can't hang on, but guess what? I'll take my chances turning for home and lead.
And you're going to get a price to mitigate sort of that concern about the distance. Yep. 15 to 1 on the morning line for the 5 Wild Shot. The pace projector has the number 6 IRAP sitting in second, and that's very logical because the horse has shown speed in several races. The issue with IRAP is he is still a maiden after 7 starts. Yes, he's kept good company, but I think the connections had to be disappointed with what they saw from 2 races at Sunland Park.
Yeah, certainly. He wasn't good in either one of them. Let's just call a spade a spade. To me, all of a sudden, okay, maybe it doesn't look like there's a ton of speed signed on, but I wonder if it becomes a bit of a cat and mouse game. And if I'm Doug O'Neill, I'm telling Julian Leparoux, you're making the front. I don't care how fast you have to go. The only way he can win, I think, is if you go. If you give Wild Shot the lead, I don't think you can run him down, and you certainly can't hold off the big boys. I wonder if all of a sudden it goes from not being much of a, as far as pace is concerned, to these two just all of a sudden going, and it sets up for everyone.
The number 7 is Practical Joke. Folks have concerns about Wild Shot's ability to handle the distance. There will be concerns about Practical Joke. Quality is not an issue. A 2-time Grade 1 stakes winner last year as a 2-year-old in New York. His 2 two-turn races have not been bad. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile, you can argue he was just in against sharper and better horses at the time, in Classic Empire and not this time. The Fountain of Youth, his first start of the year, I thought he made a strong mid-race move into a very hot pace, and then he understandably paid the price. I would expect him to be much tighter with that last race under his belt, but I'm still not convinced that 9 is what he wants.
You know, I have to be honest, I think he was tight for the Florida race. I think Chad had him ready to go and wanted to prove a point and say, you know what, he is just as good, if not better, than all the other horses. I think the distance got him. I feel like he ran the exact same race he did in the Breeders' Cup, and the distance just was not his friend. We'll find out. If he can get a 1 1/8 on Saturday, obviously he's interesting. I think he's just going to be better, sort of a mile and 1/16.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Bluegrass Stakes. Matt's going for a gate-to-wire speed show at 15 to 1 on the line. The 5 Wild Shot. Give me numbers.
I have no disillusion either that he is as good as the top 3 or 4. I think they are more talented than Wild Shot, but I would like to see Wild Shot go. I hope IRAP kind of leaves him alone. Won't be surprised if he doesn't, but I hope he does. I'm going 5, 2, 4, and 3 in here.
I'm going 4, 3, 2, and 7. The key for Tapwrit is the start. He can be a little bit slow out of the gate, a little bit nutty behind the gate. If he breaks, I just love the fact that he's just improved with each and every start. It's Pletcher's world right now. I think he can turn the tables on McCracken, who A, might need this race. We haven't seen him since the Sam F. Davis, and B, might be prepping for this race. The Kentucky Derby's where Ian Wilkes wants McCracken to be tightest.
And that's something I think everyone needs to keep in mind. McCracken is in the race. You don't need to worry about points. Would you be stunned if he's 90% and everyone else is maybe 100 or even 95%, and that's just enough to get it over the hump? Just something to keep in the back of your mind at a short price with McCracken.
A lot of quality and a fantastic card at Keeneland on Saturday. And if you are playing the Saturday Keeneland card from home, a $300 sign-up bonus is just waiting for new DRF Bet subscribers at drf.com/trifecta. Approximate post time for race number 10 at Keeneland on Saturday. The Grade 2 $1 million Bluegrass Stakes, 6:17 Eastern. Good luck.